Chapter 11, The Abnormal Lightning Rat. You're right. This is such a shame. The others nodded as well, feeling sorry for such a fact. This low-rank pet must have a strong comprehending power to be able to master such a complicated and sophisticated advanced skill. However, it was such a waste that such comprehending power was found in a mere lightning rat. The lightning rat's descent was of a low kind. Even if it could evolve to a thunderstorm rat, it would only reach the 3rd rank. The ceiling was not high enough. Even an incredible comprehending power would be of no use in such a case. On the stage, the first round of this game had come to an end. Su Yangying held the lightning rat that had thrown itself into her arms. She still found all this surreal. She would have never expected that she could win this first round of an otherwise fierce battle so easily. She had won without contributing at all, neither as the master of the lightning rat nor as a battle pet warrior. A lightning rat helped her win in a breeze. At this thought, her expression became twisted. She didn't know if she could smile or cry about it. On the other side of the stage, Zhong Xiao had just come around. His face was as white as a sheet when he looked at the seriously wounded dragon hound that was lying nearby, seemingly at the last gasp. He clenched his teeth as he used the contract power to make the dragon hound withdraw to the contract space. Then, he turned around to glare at Su Yangying coldly. He had underestimated his enemy. He felt vexed. He should have known better. There had to be a reason why his opponent would send out a lightning rat in a pet tournament that had the focus of the world's attention over it. He didn't know that this lightning rat was such a rare kind. He had never heard of a lightning rat that could learn the pet skill of the 7th rank, Thunder Slash. But that was it. His original plan was to win all 3 rounds and enjoy a glamorous victory, but that was not possible anymore. As such, he had to put into full play his ability as a battle pet warrior. He couldn't make the same mistake twice. Stone Rhino. Again, Zhong Xiao mobilized his contract power. In front of him glowed a faint yellow light. Then, the stage under his feet trembled slightly. A pet in the shape of a rhino that was even larger than the dragon hound came out. This stone rhino was covered with hard rocks. Besides, there were sharp edges like fish bones along its spine. Few pets could defeat the stone rhino in a face-to-face combat. That is a pet of the Earth family. Su Yangying immediately noticed the type of pet. Her expression changed. At the same time, the lightning rat that was in her arms seemed to have picked up some signals. All of a sudden, the lightning rat moved and struggled away from her hug. Then, it turned around and stood in front of her. The lightning rat put on a fierce look and thick lightning was surging all over its body. Lightning rat, Su Yangying was dumbstruck. Whoosh! Instantly, the lightning rat dashed out. It was charging toward the stone rhino proactively. The audience gasped on their seats. Even the judge and the commentator were taken aback. At the same time, they found this confusing. As the master of the lightning rat, didn't she know that pets of the Earth family were archenemies of those of the Thunder family? Why would she send out the lightning rat again? Courting death. Zhong Xiao sneered. Smash it into pieces. Kill it. As he was giving the instructions, a starry glow appeared around him. With rapid speed, he released several astral skills with augmentation effects. 2nd rank strength augmentation, 2nd rank power of the blast, 3rd rank firmness augmentation. Of those, the 3rd one in particular was the one he was adept at. The reason for him to practice this firmness augmentation so diligently was so that he could cooperate with his stone rhino. The stone rhino was strong and tough to begin with. If this quality was improved with firmness augmentation, not even his dragon hound could leave a mark on the stone rhino, not to mention the lightning rat. Several of the halos that indicated those augmentation effects flashed by under the stone rhino's feet. Then, those halos transformed into energy runes, circling the stone rhino and then immersing into its body. Although this process took little time, it did stir up exclamations in the venue. The fact that he could cast 3 astral skills in a row so quickly and proficiently indicated that his ability had already surpassed that of many students present. Moo! The stone rhino let out a bellow in a low voice, then it exerted strength and pressed toward the lightning rat. Across the stone rhino, Su Yangying was alerted once she saw Zhong Xiao casting those skills. She was about to add some to the lightning rat as well, but to her surprise, she noticed that the lightning rat had gone beyond the sphere of her energy transference. Buzzing, buzzing. The light generated by electricity came out again. The lightning rat was running toward the stone rhino. The moment the two of them smashed into each other, the lightning rat was divided into two. Whoosh! Whoosh! Two lightning rats ran past the stone rhino from both of its sides. At first look, people might think that the lightning rat was smashed into two different ones by the stone rhino. Thunder shadow illusion. At the leader's seat close to the stage, the ones that were enjoying the games with a casual attitude suddenly opened their eyes wide. How is that even possible? That red-haired lady kept her red lips ajar. Disbelief was written all over her face. She could accept the presence of the 7th rank Thunder Slash skill. Why could the pet use that Thunder Shadow illusion of the same rank? A low-rank lightning rat had learned 2 advanced pet skills? She wasn't the only one in disbelief. The ones next to her were stunned as well. It was understandable if the lightning rat could learn one of such skills. After all, while coincidences didn't always happen, chances were they were going to encounter one. However, could it be regarded as a coincidence when 2 advanced skills were used? Is there something wrong with my eyes? That strong guy could not help but blink several times. Another person next to him forced a smile. It might have been an illusion if you were alone. But it couldn't be the case when all of us are watching. This lightning rat is just too abnormal. It has learned 2 advanced pet skills. This aptitude, this comprehending ability, not even those advanced pets of the Thunder family could have done this, could they? If I remember correctly, only that Skydoom pterosaur of our old team leader can master those 2 skills. Right? After this thought, those people looked at each other. They could not utter a word. An insignificant low-rank lightning rat had a comprehending ability on par with a Skydoom pterosaur. How? On the stage. The lightning rat that had cloned itself confused the stone rhino. The latter could not tell which one was real. Even its master Zhong Xiao had become speechless due to his astonishment at the moment. Zhong Xiao had heard of the advanced pet skill of the Thunder family, Thunder Shadow Illusion, in the classes he had taken. That being said, that was all theory. He didn't know how to solve it. Whoosh! While Zhong Xiao was still at a loss, a figure as fast as lightning was on its way to him. The lightning rat was of no threat to the stone rhino, but it would be dangerous to Zhong Xiao. No! Having figured out the lightning rat's intention, Zhong Xiao was greatly shaken. He called the stone rhino back to defend him through the contract, but it was already too late. Astral shield. In a hurry, Zhong Xiao mobilized the astral power within him to set up a transparent barrier that covered him up. PFF. The moment it was set up, the barrier was smashed. Thunder Slash. The lightning rat used the Thunder Slash once again. After the barrier was broken, the sharp edge made by compressed lightning did not stop and was coming toward Zhong Xiao. Whoosh! In the next second, Zhong Xiao disappeared all of a sudden. He was in midair when he reappeared. He was being carried by an almost transparent bird. They landed on the ground slowly. Zhong Xiao lost the second round, the judge announced in a cold voice. That peculiar bird that was carrying Zhong Xiao turned around and flew toward the judge, gradually disappearing into thin air. Chapter 12, Its Genius Master. The whole venue was in an uproar. Zhong Xiao had lost 2 times in a row. To make it worse, Zhong Xiao had sent out precious pets like the dragon hound and the stone rhino. One of them had the bloodline of a king beast and the other was a pet that was antagonistic to the lightning rat. For the second pet, it would reach the 4th rank once it grew into adulthood. 2 pets like this had both been defeated by a cheap, low-rank lightning rat. Is that a pet skill of the Thunder family, Thunder Shadow Illusion? Good heavens, how can a lightning rat use such an advanced pet skill? That is simply horrifying. That is the king of rats. Many students present had recognized that Thunder Shadow Illusion. They discussed heatedly in shock. I won again. Su Yangying felt she was dreaming as she looked at the lightning rat which was bouncing back to her. None of it seemed real. T. Zhong Xiao was embarrassed by the shouts of surprise that came from around the venue. He could blame his carelessness and underestimation for losing the first round. However, he had to admit inferiority since, for the second game, he sent out the stone rhino but failed again. A mere lightning rat had defeated him. How shameful that was. If it weren't for the fact that the Starry Hyro beast is still in cultivation and I cannot bring it here, I wouldn't have allowed the match end like this. A cold and vicious glare filled Zhong Xiao's eyes. He directed his ill intent to Su Yangying, who was in the distance. He couldn't stomach the fact that she had humiliated him. Next, please send out your pets for the third match, the judge said loudly. Then, he looked at the lightning rat in Su Yangying's arms. This little guy was amazing. It was so talented that it would incur jealousy. Without any surprises, the lightning rat was capable enough to defeat all the other low-rank pets with the 2 advanced pet skills. Him. Zhong Xiao snorted coldly. He turned around and went off the stage without the third pet. He admitted defeat. He had another pet that was more powerful than the Dragon Hound. That pet was his ace card for the preliminary matches, but it wasn't much different from the Dragon Hound. Besides, he still had to find a strategy to counter that thunder shadow illusion constructed by the lightning rat. To fight the lightning rat recklessly with no regard for the consequences would lead to a lose-lose situation. He had many more opponents to compete with. Losing this one point would not hinder him from passing the preliminary match. He didn't need to reveal all his cards, which would only expose all his abilities to others. With the departure of Zhong Xiao, a great deal of cheering broke out at once. Except that there was some booing amid the cheers. Nobody could have thought that they would cheer for a low-rank, cheap lightning rat at a grand and serious event like this. While surprised, they found this turn of events hilarious. I won. Su Yangying stood there, absent-minded, and watched as Zhong Xiao left the stage. The passionate cheers were telling her that everything was real. She didn't do anything and still she had won. The lightning rat that was lying in her arms, to think she had once considered removing the contract that had brought her such an effortless victory. Thunder shadow illusion. Su Yangying looked at the lightning rat that was nuzzled up in her arms. This was strange. Surprisingly, the pet skills that were so intimidatingly powerful could be found in a lightning rat. Why didn't she know that it was so talented in combat before? She just left it for a month at the store and it came back a different person. No, a different rat. The thought of pet boarding reminded Su Yangying of something. The confusion in her eyes was fading away. She wondered if everything was related to that pet store she went to. But that was just a normal pet store. This was unlikely. Such an eye-opening day. Right. We have just witnessed a magical fight. In the leaders' seats, some powerful people were still amazed after the battle had come to an end. They were smiling brilliantly. I've heard some stories. People say that some low-rank pets are incredibly talented and can learn rare pet skills, and even have the ability to defeat more advanced pets. I had always doubted that. But it seems like it's possible, the strong-built person exclaimed. The red-haired lady nodded in agreement. For a lightning rat to have 2 advanced pet skills is far from a coincidence. It must be due to its master's training. All I can say is that its master is a genius. That girl over there? Well, interesting. She is so confident that she didn't apply any of the most basic augmentation effects to the lightning rat. It seems that we have yet to have a full understanding of what the lightning rat is capable of. You are reading too much into it. But it's not an easy task to train a low-rank lightning rat to this level. I am curious. If she has such abilities, why wouldn't she train other, more advanced astral pets? Is it possible that there is some special reason for it? Vice Principal Dong, this girl deserves our attention. Of course. I will never pass up on a talent like her. It was getting late. At the Pixie Pet store on Taohuaxi Street. It was already dark outside by the time Su Ping woke up. He had slept straight into the night. He got up and turned on the light. The incandescent light was kind of offending to the eyes. Su Ping placed his hand in front of his eyes and squinted to get used to the light. Then, he heard his stomach growling. Only then did he remember he hadn't had lunch yet. But, other than the starving belly, Su Ping felt he was refreshed, hale and hearty. He looked at the time. It was after 10 and this was when he usually closed the store. Of course, the other pet stores weren't like this. Some stores would even stay open all night and 2 groups of people would have to take shifts. However, those were the stores that had a healthy business. Besides, The old Su Ping was unwilling to stay in this little store. He couldn't wait to pack up early so that he could go back home and play games in his cozy nest. And yet, this Su Ping was the newcomer. Naturally, he couldn't violate the original owner's rules. Besides, he was indeed hungry. He found the keys, turned off the lights, and locked up in one smooth action. He rode the bike and headed north. Half an hour later, Su Ping arrived home. "I am back." His mother Li Qingru was sitting in the living room watching TV. She turned the volume down as soon as she saw Su Ping coming in and changing his shoes. "How was the business in the store today?" she turned around and asked him. Su Ping observed her expression. She was concerned about the store. "It was fine," Su Ping gave a vague answer. He couldn't tell her that he had slept through the afternoon. Afraid that he would feel upset, Li Qingru comforted him and gave him some advice: "Take your time and don't give up. As long as you take good care of every pet, the good ratings will increase and so will the business." When Su Ping changed his shoes and stepped into the living room, she stood up and asked, "You must be hungry. I'm going to heat some dishes for you. Or, do you want to eat with your sister when she comes back?" "She hasn't come back yet?" Su Ping was surprised. Usually, Su Lingyu would have already finished her dinner at home by this time. Why hadn't she returned yet? "Don't you remember? Your sister's academy is hosting a tournament today. She will be back later," Li Qingru said, grumpily. She knew about the relationship between this pair of siblings. She found it annoying, although she couldn't do anything about it. They were too old to always listen to her. "Right?" Su Ping didn't seem to be interested. "I'm hungry. I'll start without her," he said. While he wanted to reconcile with his sister, he was unwilling to simply head on to bouts of suffering. He was starving and had to eat first. What was more, even if he wanted to wait for his sister to come back and eat with her, she might not appreciate the kindness. "Mom, I'm back." Unexpectedly, the door was opened just as Su Ping uttered the last syllable. Su Lingyu stepped in. She glared at Su Ping since she heard his last sentence. After she changed her shoes, she walked directly to the living room. She rolled her eyes when she saw Su Ping standing in the corridor. "Move out of my way." Chapter 13, Low. Su Ping was in no mood to engage in verbal contending with her. He hung up his coat, then he went to the sofa in the living room and poured himself a glass of water. He had just filled the glass when a delicate hand with porcelain skin reached over and took over the glass. She drained the cup with one gulp. Who could it be other than Su Lingyu? Her raised eyebrows which expressed, "Do you have a problem with that?" when Su Ping landed his gaze on her. Su Ping cast a glance to the phantom flame beast who was crouching on her shoulder. That pet harbored no good intentions. Su Ping felt he had to be the bigger man to live his life. Therefore, he decided not to hold the grudge against her. He just took another glass and poured himself some water. Su Lingyu snorted. She threw herself into the other side of the sofa and stretched to feel comfortable. "Someone is getting smarter today. Good, the stupid guy can be taught." Su Ping paid no heed to her words. He was measuring the phantom flame beast lying in her arms with his eyes. Soon after, information appeared in his mind. Phantom flame beast. Property, pet of the demon family. Rank, upper position of the 3rd rank. Combat strength, 4.6. Aptitude, low. Abilities mastered, phantom flame strike, hellish breath of fire, mental fire thaumaturgy, spiritual impalement, and roar of phantoms. Su Ping raised his eyebrows as he finished reading. Aptitude, low? That was not good at all. The lightning rat he trained could be rated as below average. This phantom flame beast was really bad. Noticing Su Ping's stares, Su Lingyu glared at him. "What are you looking at with those obscene eyes of yours? My Snowball is an excellent phantom flame beast. It is second to none among pets of the same rank. There is no telling who can win even if Snowball meets a 4th rank pet." "Okay." Su Ping did not express an opinion. This phantom flame beast currently was at the upper position of the 3rd rank, but its combat strength was rated 4.6. According to the interpretation made by the system, in reality, Snowball's actual combat strength had reached the intermediate position of the 4th rank. Indeed, it was remarkable that Snowball could compete against those in a higher rank. But that was it. The lightning rat he trained had its combat strength rated at 3.6 when it was only at the upper position of the first rank. He supposed that the lightning rat would be able to demonstrate abilities of the 5th or 6th rank when it reached the 3rd rank. That aptitude should be deemed outstanding. Yet, even such a genius lightning rat could only be rated as below the average by the system. As far as Su Ping could tell, there was a long journey of progress laid before this phantom flame beast. He wasn't expecting that this snowball could become alarmingly strong, but maybe it would be just average. What? What are you laughing at? Su Lingyu frowned and pulled a long face. Su Ping was speechless. What? I can't even laugh now. But that is a cold laugh. All right, all right. What are you two fighting about now? Come on and eat. Li Qingru came over with the heated dishes and said to the siblings, time for dinner. Don't watch TV now. Su Ping did not want to badger Su Lingyu at the moment. He got up to wash his hands for dinner. The dinner was sumptuous, with fish soup, stewed pork with brown sauce, fried pork with hard bean curd, and some other vegetables. This feast provoked Su Ping's appetite. He washed his hands and took his seat to dig in. Su Lingyu came to the dining table with Snowball in her arms as well. Li Qingru filled Su Lingyu's bowl with rice and sat down. How was the match today? Did you pass? Li Qingru asked. Su Lingyu picked up her chopsticks. The corner of her mouth was raised while she kept a straight face. Today was just for preliminary rounds, which is of no trouble to me. Besides, all my opponents are just some new students in my class. It wasn't much of a challenge. It took me just one morning to collect all the points to be qualified for the next round. It is just a pity that... What is a pity? Li Qingru became concerned. It's just a pity that I cannot compete against the seniors in the 3rd grade. Otherwise, I could have a chance to join in the finals. Su Lingyu appeared to be sorry for this fact. Ahem. Su Ping almost choked. He began to cough violently. Su Lingyu looked at him through the corner of her eyes. No one is taking food away from you. Aren't you afraid of choking to death by eating so fast? Su Ping finally recovered after he took a few sips of the fish soup. He didn't give her a response and simply focused on his meal. Li Qingru set her mind at ease after Su Lingyu's explanation. Look at you. You have just entered this academy of Astral Pets. It's not an easy task to stand out amongst the new students. Don't compete against the seniors or you will be worn out, the former said, sulkily. Sure, Mum, you're right. Su Lingyu nodded at once. Her smiling eyes curled like a crescent moon. Su Ping coughed again. Su Lingyu threw him a look that could kill people. Su Ping could tell that a gaze that was growing in sharpness was fixed on him without even having to look up. You must be tired. Eat all you want. Li Qingru picked up some pork to put in Su Lingyu's bowl. Sure. You too, Mom, Su Lingyu answered with a giggle. Su Ping was quick to finish the first bowl of rice and he filled it again. Su Lingyu suddenly remembered something that made her exclaim, anyways, there was something strange at the tournament today. I don't think you'll believe me when I tell you. Li Qingru was surprised. What is it? She asked with curiosity. There is a girl, a senior, and she seems to be one of the students always in the spotlight at the academy. But she only used one lightning rat in today's matches. We all thought that she was losing her mind. Only, you know what? Her lightning rat won 2 games in a row and it defeated a dragon hound and a stone rhino. Su Lingyu's eyes were shining as she shared the news. She was excited. Lightning rat. The name caught Su Ping's attention. Li Qingru was astonished as well. The lightning rat defeated a dragon hound and a stone rhino? Are you sure? Was it a thunderstorm rat? Alas, no, not even a thunderstorm rat could have. As a formal trainer, Li Qingru was familiar with pets. She could tell such an occurrence would be impossible. Sensing that Li Qingru was doubtful, Su Lingyu decided not to keep them guessing. She went on with a smile, don't be freaked out when I tell you that this lightning rat has mastered 2 advanced skills, a 7th rank Thunder Slash and the Thunder Shadow Illusion. Relying on the 2 skills, the lightning rat defeated the dragon hound easily and crushed the stone rhino who failed to protect its master. Su Ping was stunned. Thunder Slash? Thunder Shadow Illusion? Was this the lightning rat I trained? Could it be? All of a sudden, Su Ping remembered the look of the master of that lightning rat. She was young, about the same age as Su Lingyu. That was to say, that girl was very likely to be a student. More importantly, Su Ping didn't think there could be another lightning rat that was so horrifying, also able to master the same skills the one he trained did. Such a small world. Su Ping mumbled to himself and produced a fake smile. He would have never imagined that the master of that little guy was going to the same academy as Su Lingyu. 2 advanced skills? Li Qingru was taken aback. What a talented lightning rat. Right, everyone was astonished. Su Lingyu had the same feeling. Its master is a genius. There are few people that I, Su Lingyu, admire. Now that senior girl can be counted as one of them. Su Ping stopped his mind from wandering around and glanced at her. He was thinking, if you only knew your brother did this, would you still treat me the same? But that was only on his mind. His sister would not believe him even if he told her the truth. Rather, she would laugh at him. After dinner, Su Ping and Su Lingyu went their separate ways. Su Ping headed upstairs after his shower. He had thought that he would have more energy to burn off after his afternoon nap. However, he was assaulted by drowsiness as soon as he lay down. Soon, it was dream time for him. The next morning, Su Ping saw a ghost face in front of him as soon as he woke up. Having become prepared due to the last day's fright, he was only shocked for an instant before he caught his breath. He glared at Su Lingyu, who was sneering outside the door, and got up to go downstairs. After breakfast, Su Ping and Su Lingyu left respectively, one for the academy and the other for the store. Su Ping felt invigorated and recharged after a night's rest. He had decided to harvest food that day, so that he could gain more energy as soon as possible. At the store, Su Ping first fed the manigam and then he closed the door. He summoned a cultivation plane window in his mind. Soon, the window appeared. Su Ping selected a plane that only required 1 point of energy to teleport and chose to enter. Chapter 14, Collecting Food. A series of system prompt messages sprang to his mind. The host has established connection to the extraterrestrial meteorite region 1002. Connection valid for 24 hours. Within the month valid for beginner's protection, the host will be given 30 free deaths. The host has been granted a beginner's space, 1 cubic meter. The host can use elementary Eon plant identification spell 3 times. Please head out on your own. Su Ping opened his eyes at once. Before him was a bleak mountain forest with no signs of civilization. He could look directly into the vast space with countless stars above his head. Su Ping took a quick look around. He exhaled in relief after making sure that there were no monsters of any kind. Then, he asked the system in his mind, I heard you say 30 free deaths. Shouldn't it be unlimited times? Of course not, the system answered indifferently, the benefit of unlimited times is exclusive to the beginner's quest. Currently, the host has finished that quest and therefore is no longer eligible for that benefit. Also, after the beginner's protection for 1 month, the host will no longer be granted free deaths. Therefore, the host must improve his abilities as soon as possible, or else it will be difficult for the host to move a single step in the future. Su Ping was stunned. He found this hardly understandable. So, according to you, what will happen to me when I can no longer enjoy free deaths? Will I just drop dead, literally? He didn't have the confidence to say that he would never die, not even once, in a horrifying place like the Thundercloud Realm. The host can purchase chances for deaths with energy points and the price is 1/10 of the price of that corresponding cultivation plane. When the times of available deaths return to 0, the host will be forcefully teleported back to the main world, the system explained. They can be purchased. Secretly, Su Ping sighed in relief with this new information. That would be reasonable. Roar! All of a sudden, a violent roar came from the distance, just like a sudden clap of thunder. Caught off guard, Su Ping bent over. Then he saw that across the sky on the horizon, the clouds and mist were dyed red as if something were burning. It seemed that a fierce battle had broken out under that sky. My God, the roar was so loud. Not even a king of beasts could be this loud. Su Ping's heart was pounding. Without hesitation, he turned around and soon ran to the other side of the forest. He ran for a few hundred meters. Bang! A shrill cry was suddenly heard. Su Ping only had enough time to turn his head. In his sight, there appeared a ferocious mouth moving in closer. He blacked out. Su Ping knew that he had died before he could experience the pain. To make it worse, he didn't even have the chance to see what killed him. There was something he was sure of, though. His body must have been eaten up by that thing. Does a cultivation plane that costs 1 energy point have to be this terrifying? What the hell? Su Ping had nothing else to say. How long had he been in here? He died an unnatural death without doing anything. This was such a sudden death. I am too vulnerable. Su Ping felt worn out already. He was just a common person. Some monsters that were skilled in hiding could be concealed in the dark. There was no way that he could have noticed them. Maybe he would be just sending himself to the mouth of those monsters. He saw a prompt message. Revival on the spot, revival at a random spot. Su Ping rolled his eyes. He didn't even know his own actual state after death. He had no tangible body, but with a force of habit, he chose revival at a random spot. White, glaring light flooded over from all sides. He had a better sight after that jump. Soon, he could see his surroundings. This time, he found himself on a desolate hillside with sparse weeds. There were no monsters around. Wait a minute. Is that? All of a sudden, Su Ping saw a pile of rocks trembling in the distance. Upon a closer look, he felt his whole body break out with gooseflesh. That was no pile of rocks. It was a python that had a body built with rocks. Winding stone snake. Property, pet of the Earth family. Rank, the lower position of the 8th rank. Combat strength, 8.1. Aptitude, poor. Abilities mastered, entangle, swallow, mind burst, and Earth Guardian. While Su Ping was gazing into the distance, information about this python suddenly jumped to mind. Su Ping's pupils contracted as he saw the rank. This was a pet of the 8th rank. But this 8th rank winding stone snake had a poor aptitude. Su Ping had not seen anything like this before. This python had to be one of the weaker amongst its peers with a combat strength of hardly above 8. Run! Su Ping turned around and prepared to run away at once. He kept on mumbling, "It cannot see me." The moment he turned around, he cast a glance through the corners of his eyes. He stopped on the spot at once. Scarlet stone fruit? For all 5 meters ahead of him, there was a plant growing out from the stone cracks. It was a small tree that was about half a meter tall with a cluster of fire-red fruits which were shaped like raindrops. Those fruits were the size of beans and they were dangling in the wind. It was as if he had known about this plant since a long time ago. Much information about this plant surged in his mind, including the functions and growth cycles, etc. What interested Su Ping enough to stop was the fact that this was the vermilion bird's favorite food. Pet food? Su Ping was lost in his thoughts. He didn't know that he could find pet food right there under his nose. He had to thank the Eon plant identification spell the system had granted him temporarily. Because of this, such knowledge would prevent him from missing out. That being said, the expressions on Su Ping's face changed as he looked at the wiggling winding stone snake in the distance. After a mere moment of hesitation, Su Ping had made up his mind. He dashed out from behind the rock all of a sudden and ran toward that scarlet stone fruit, throwing caution to the wind. He picked up the scarlet stone fruit plant violently. However, its roots were quite firmly set. Since he had overexerted his strength, some of the thorns stabbed his palm, inflicting a dull pain. Collect into the storage space. Yes or no? The system queried. Yes. Su Ping answered without further thought. The scarlet stone fruit plant vanished from his hand instantly. At the same time, in his mind, he felt there was an addition of a virtual space with a small area and the scarlet stone fruit plant was floating around inside. Is this the storage space? Su Ping took a look and heaved a sigh of relief. Hiss, hiss. Unexpectedly, the ground around him began to tremble. Su Ping raised his head. In the distance, the winding stone snake had lifted its head as well and was staring at Su Ping. Run! Without further ado, Su Ping turned around and began to run at once, even though he knew the chances of him escaping were very low. More than a dozen seconds passed. Revival on the spot, revival at a random spot. The system presented him with the choices again. It went without saying that Su Ping didn't make it. He was swallowed by the smelly mouth of this winding stone snake and was squeezed to death. He even felt the pain was surreal when he was falling apart. Su Ping grimaced in pain. Even to this moment, he was still shivering uncontrollably, as if he had been running nude in the chilly wind. Well, that wasn't entirely fruitless. Su Ping felt comforted that at the very least, he had harvested some food. It was painful, but whose life wasn't? I have 28 more chances left. If I can harvest some food right before I die every time, I believe I can probably fill up half of the storage space, Su Ping thought to himself. He was looking forward to the rest of the journey. Su Ping made his choice. Revival at a random spot. Consciousness came back to his body again. But as soon as he was brought back to life, he felt a bone-piercing coldness. He looked around, only to see that he was floating in water. What random spot is this? Su Ping was astonished. He turned around. Some monsters that looked like crocodiles were closing in slowly. Su Ping was given no chances to struggle. In the blink of an eye, the crocodiles sprang at him and tore him into pieces. Revival on the spot, revival at a random spot. Random. 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 Repeated deaths and repeated revivals. Sometimes, he would be killed right after he was brought back to life. Sometimes, he would only encounter monsters after he had harvested special pet food. Soon, the 30 free revival chances were used up. Phew. Su Ping felt he had been gone for ages when the light came back to his sight and the familiar environment of the store leaped to his eyes. On one hand, he could put his mind at ease. On the other, he felt sorry for that to end. I believe this was a rewarding harvest. Su Ping looked at the pet food filling up the storage space in his mind. He was content. In terms of quantity alone, it was very abundant. But he didn't know how the system would price them. Are you going to set a price on the pet food and sell them? The system asked. Yes. Su Ping answered immediately. Soon, the pet food in the storage space vanished into thin air. Then, Su Ping saw there were some jars and containers on the shelf behind the counter in the store, or something that appeared to be a potted landscape. With no exception, all of them were packed with the pet food that he had harvested at the risk of his life. Scorching Fish Seeker, 380 coins per plant. Fire and Ice Snake Grass, 800 coins per plant. Scarlet Stone Fruit, 130 coins per fruit. Chapter 15, a price of 20,000. This price? Su Ping was surprised at the price marked. Each of those edibles could be sold at over 100 coins, and that would be at least 1 point of energy if converted. Many of them could be sold at 300 or 400, or even 700 to 800, which could be converted into many energy points. To make it better, it merely cost him 1 point of energy to teleport to a cultivation plane. At this rate, the revenue generated from this one trip was over 100 times more than the cost. That being said, Su Ping felt that such matters weren't all that pleasing once he recalled the 30 times he died. Besides, the fact that he could make this much money was attributable to the fact that the cultivation plane he chose was of a surprisingly high quality and at the same time, to the free chances of revival provided by the system. Without the 30 free deaths, he couldn't have had the chance to collect that much food. Anyways, all in all, to collect food in a cultivation plane is a very good deal. When I can no longer enjoy free deaths, I can buy them. It will only cost me 3 energy points for 30 deaths. There is no doubt I can make more money than that. It is just those deaths that are disgusting. Su Ping shook his head. He wasn't afraid of instant death. It was the slow torture that he was scared of. The price for Scarlet Stone Fruits is 130 coins per fruit. That plant I picked must have 20-some or 30-some fruits. Su Ping remembered when he was harvesting the Scarlet Stone Fruit. He began to check the actual number. His assumption was right. There were 34 coins. If he could sell them all, he could have at least 40 energy points. Just the Scarlet Stone Fruit alone could generate massive profits. Well? The price for this one? All of a sudden, Su Ping saw another type of food that was floating in its lonesome on the side. It was like a strange-looking tree sapling, but with leaves of 7 different colors. Colored Buddha leaf, 20,820 coins per fruit. Su Ping thought he had read the number wrong. Upon a closer look, he was sure he read it correctly. How could it be over 20,000 coins? Startled, Su Ping noticed the effect of this food. This wasn't the average pet food, but a type of herb that could be regarded as an intelligence-enlightening treasure. It can help a pet develop its intelligence by a large margin, so that the pet's power of understanding can be greatly enhanced. The power of understanding was of critical importance to pets. The pets that had the power of understanding could learn strong skills easily and comprehend their master's instructions in battles. Also, the progress and evolution of pets with the power of understanding would come much easier for them when compared to average pets. In particular, in the same race, pets with a stronger power of understanding would usually be the rulers in their respective race. They could defeat others of the same race easily because of their better understanding of their powers, and their skills in battle were far superior. In a nutshell, the power of understanding was something that could enable a pet to grow and become a ruler of its race. Su Ping had a faint memory that he seemed to have harvested this thing next to a pond. It wasn't a risky journey. Rather, it was surprisingly easy. He didn't check it carefully back then. He just picked it up after confirming that it was food. He didn't expect that it would be the most precious among all the food he had harvested. That is over 20,000, and I can make 200 energy points when I sell it. Su Ping did the math. He was over the moon. This colored Buddha leaf alone could solve the problem of him buying the awakening potion, and he would have some extra money left. This trip was so worthwhile. Su Ping was thrilled. All of a sudden, he felt some extra deaths would not be a problem. Soon, Su Ping calmed himself down. He asked the system at once, "Is it possible that we have set the price too low? If it's used on an advanced pet, the effect produced would not be something that can be bought with merely 20,000 coins." Su Ping was sure that if this plant could inspire an advanced pet to learn a rare ability, even adding another zero to the current price would be considered a cheap price. He had beginner's luck as the buff to help him stumble upon this plant. Usually, people could not find a place to buy it even if they wanted to. "The host doesn't have the right to negotiate the price," the system replied coldly. "The colored Buddha leaf is not the best food to improve the power of understanding. This is just a usual kind of herb. At best, it can exert influence on 9th rank pets. A price that can be converted to 300 energy points is reasonable." Su Ping almost flared up. The effect is already incredible when the plant can influence 9th rank pets. The ones above the 9th rank pets are king beasts. There are few and far between in this entire continent. What more do you want? There is no need to say more. To go on would incur pain experience as punishment. The system went straight to the point without the slightest hesitation in a colder tone. Su Ping indignant. The system was being unreasonable. In the end, Su Ping had to compromise. He heaved sighs as he checked the remaining food. When he had the total price calculated, his mood turned for the better. Now, the food is ready. All I have to do is to sell them. Su Ping took a deep breath. He opened the roller shutter door to welcome in the sunlight. He spent over half a day on the cultivation plane, but only an hour had passed in the real world. Su Ping went back to the store. He sat behind the counter to search for information on pets in the federal government resources on the computer, so that he could adjust to this world faster while he waited for customers to arrive. Not long after, there came one. "Sir, please give me a bag of food for a conflagration canine." A young man in leisurewear came in without looking up from his phone. Su Ping turned his sights away from the computer. He searched on the shelf and finally found some food that a low-rank canine pet could eat. "Here you go. 3-leafed flame grass, just the food for the canine pet of the fire family. The price is 380, Su Ping said. "Okay." The young man in leisurewear answered without thinking. He was just about to pay when he suddenly raised his head, shocked. "How much?" 380, Su Ping frowned. This food can increase the intensity of fire elements in pets of the fire family. With a long-term administration, there is a chance that the low-rank pet in the fire family can evolve into a more advanced pet, explained Su Ping. Intensity of the fire element? Evolution? The young man in leisurewear raised his eyebrows. He looked at the counter behind Su Ping. The prices for those foods stunned him. When he saw the colored Buddha leaf at a price of over 20,000 coins, the young man said nothing and left right away. *T. This must be an inn run by brigands. It's just some dog food and you're telling me about evolution. *CKU? Su Ping watched as this young man left, interspersing his talk with curses. Su Ping pulled a long face. He was angry, but he managed to suppress it eventually. Judging by price alone, it might seem high. But that food had excellent quality and was reasonably priced. He didn't fool anyone. Rather, as far as he could tell, he was sacrificing part of the profit. He started on the wrong foot, but Su Ping was not frustrated. As long as his goods were of high quality, they would be eventually sold. Gold is bound to shine. Hi, do you sell bird food? At noon, another customer came. Chapter 16, Money Made. Su Ping looked up at him. It was an aged man wearing a tang suit with a bird pet about half as large as a human. This bird was covered with crimson feathers and it looked like an ostrich with its head dangling down. The bird seemed to be lifeless. Su Ping was surprised the moment he saw this bird. Sir, do you have some unique bird food? Something tastier? Fan Shangde looked at the seemingly young Su Ping who was behind the counter and stepped forward to talk to him. Tastier pet food? Su Ping didn't expect this question. But Su Ping understood after he looked at the depressed bird. Its appetite is not good recently, is it? Fan Shangde nodded. He sounded vexed. It began to eat less a few days ago. I don't know why. I took it to the doctors but none of them found any results. Su Ping said that he understood the problem. He turned around and took out a bottle of scarlet stone fruit. I think it will like this, Su Ping proposed. Oh? Seeing that Su Ping was confident, Fan Shangde picked up the scarlet stone fruit and took a look. What is this pet food? How come I've never heard of it? Fan Shangde asked. Su Ping didn't know how to explain the details. After all, he had no idea whether the cultivation planes the system sent him to were in the past or still in existence. Maybe this food was from ancient times. Either way, he trusted the system's judgment. You can let it try the food, Su Ping added. Fan Shangde had his fair share of bird food studies, and yet, he failed to recognize this type. On second thought, he believed Su Ping would not sell something that could harm a bird given this was an official store. He opened the lid and poured 2 grains out. The moment he opened the lid, the upset firebird suddenly flapped its feathers. Then, the bird looked up. The depressed and lazy looks in its eyes turned into a radiant glow. The bird was staring at the 2 scarlet stone fruits in Fan Shangde's hand. What? The bird's reaction took Fan Shangde off guard. He felt confident about the food. He lowered his hand and fed the fruits to the bird. The firebird pecked on his hand quickly and ate up the 2 fruits. As soon as it finished, the bird began to chirp happily. Its short wings were flapping quickly. Next, the bird turned its sight to the entire bottle of fruits placed on the counter, glaring at it with passionate anticipation. Fan Shangde was stunned. This little guy had been suffering from a loss of appetite for days. It was a surprise that the bird could gobble down the food and it seemed to be wanting more. Since the food was good, Fan Shangde had no more concerns. He asked Su Ping at once, Sir, what kind of food is this? Give me several bottles, please. Su Ping saw that the firebird was licking its chops as if it was going to pounce on the food because it could no longer wait. Calmly, Su Ping grabbed the bottle and moved it back to his side. This is the scarlet stone fruit, the most favorite for vermilion birds. This is the only bottle available in the store. 1 fruit is 130 coins and we have 34 here. Do you want all of them? Well, 130 coins for 1 bottle. Fan Shangde felt this price was reasonable. He came to his senses in the next second. For 1 fruit? Su Ping nodded. For 1 fruit? Fan Shangde was speechless. He looked into Su Ping's eyes. Since he saw that Su Ping was serious and composed, Fan Shangde was sure that he wasn't hearing things. At the same time, from the corner of his eye, Fan Shangde noticed the other products behind the counter. He was taken aback as he saw the prices. The food he had chosen was not the only pricey one. There were others even more expensive. He then understood that Su Ping was not deliberately ripping him off. Is there anything special about the pet food here? Fan Shangde restored his calmness soon and asked curiously. Su Ping was surprised that this customer could stay this collected. The food available has different effects, but the majority can help pets to improve their abilities. Some of the food varieties can produce extra effects. They are far from being mundane pet food. Your money will be well spent, Su Ping said honestly. They help pets improve their abilities. Fan Shangde was intrigued. Pointing to the colored Buddha leaf with the highest price, he asked, "This price is over 20,000 coins. What can it do?" "This one can enhance a pet's power of understanding," Su Ping answered. "Improve the power of understanding?" Fan Shangde was dumbstruck. His eyes flickered, but soon, he covered up his interest. "This scarlet stone fruit, give me 10. I will come back if my pet likes it," Fan Shangde said. Su Ping didn't see this coming. Was this man placing an order? That was to say, he was making money, right? Su Ping felt a surge of emotions as if he could see the energy points waving at him. On the outside, he remained calm. He did the calculation fast. 10 fruits will be 1,300 and your vermilion bird has eaten 2, so that is 260 coins, which makes for a total of 1,560 coins. Fan Shangde nodded and transferred the money to Fan Shangde. "How long can the 10 fruits last?" Fan Shangde asked. Su Ping gave it some thought. "If you want it to be full, the 10 won't not even be enough for one meal. But, if you want to save, you can mix the scarlet stone fruit with other pet food. This way, those will be enough for 10 meals. Fan Shangde didn't find this food pricey to begin with, but he realized it was expensive after considering Su Ping's suggestions. He was not in want of money, but when he thought about 1,500 coins for one meal. "Thank you, sir." Fan Shangde left the pet store after this gesture of appreciation. When he was about to step away, he turned around and took a look at the shop sign, Pixie Pet Store. Having sent away the customer, Su Ping checked his account immediately. There was an addition of 1,560 coins. If converted, it would be 15.6 energy points. For him to collect the pet breeding mission, it would only cost him 10 energy points and he could breed a pet. That was to say, he could already finish his mission. Lucky for me, the cultivation plane I chose was not desolate. It would have been a bad start if I had chosen a barren world. Su Ping felt fortunate. Azure Bay Garden. This was a neighborhood that seemed quite ordinary. The buildings were shabby and aged. Fan Shangde walked with his hands clasped behind his back. He was in a superb mood. He walked the vermilion bird back to the neighborhood, leisurely and carefree. Along the way, he met some old friends, some with their pets, or with their better halves. They were also strolling in the neighborhood park. "Older, you're walking that silly bird again. You're walking your better half as well. Pff, you're walking your better half. Older is old but still licentious. Let's go." An old couple hurried away. Fan Shangde laughed once their bickering was done. He took the vermilion bird back to his building, then he took out his keys and opened the door. He stepped into the elevator and rode to the 6th floor. He lived in room 601. As soon as he opened the door, Fan Shangde could tell that someone else had arrived. The most obvious mark was that the several pairs of dirty socks he threw by his door were gone. Was it a burglary? Fan Shangde did not panic. Rather, he was quite calm. He changed his shoes at the foyer and headed to the living room. He saw 2 people sitting there and smelled some delicious dishes coming from the kitchen. "Grandpa, you're back." The 2 young people sitting on the couch stood up at once. From their reactions, the girl was livelier. Her eyes glowed as she saw Fan Shangde. She ran over cheerfully and said, "Grandpa, we've been waiting for you for a long time." Fan Shangde smiled and patted the girl's head. "How come you have time to visit me today?" "I missed you, Grandpa," the girl said with honeyed words. "Well, aren't you sweet?" Fan Shangde pinched her nose. The other young man that was standing by the couch smiled fatuously. "Grandpa, didn't you say that your vermilion bird had no appetite and would not eat? I asked someone in my team to get something birds of the fire family love. I'm here to deliver them to you today." Chapter 17, Shady Shop. "Thank you for your trouble." Fan Shangde nodded. "You're welcome. This is what I should do." The young man scratched his head, smiling quietly. The girl ran to the side of the living room and took out a metal case. She waved at the vermilion bird. "Xiaohua, come here. These are all for you." She opened the case and over a dozen varieties of pet food were revealed, including flowers, fruits, grasses, and even sealed cans with worms in them. All of it was food favored by birds. Fan Shangda threw a look and said to the vermilion bird behind him, "Come on and take a look. Someone brought you some nice food." Being an intermediate rank pet, the vermilion bird was quite intelligent. It had been showing a lack of interest and only stepped over reluctantly after Fan Shangda had said so. The vermilion bird stuck out its head and took a look at the goods, then it turned around right away. Its eyes were filled with laziness. The bird nestled on the ground, not intrigued at all. Well, the girl was surprised. She didn't foresee that the vermilion bird would ignore her like this. How come it wasn't interested when there were so many delicacies? The young man standing next to her was stunned as well. He felt the situation was awkward. Fan Shangda, on the other hand, was not taken aback. He tried coaxing the vermilion bird into eating several of the treats the young man had brought, but none of them worked. "Grandpa, your bird is not coming down with something strange, is it?" The girl couldn't help but consider the possibility as she saw the vermilion bird lying on the ground, low-spirited. Fan Shangda raised his eyebrows. He would have had the same idea on any other day. However, he was convinced that it was because of the food, after he witnessed with his own eyes how happy the vermilion bird was when it enjoyed the food in the pet store. It has been losing appetite recently and will not eat any of the usual food. "I suppose it will be better after some time." Fan Shangda answered calmly and sat down on the side to rest. The young man's eyes flickered. Building on what Fan Shangda said, the young man proposed, "If so, Grandpa, why don't you bring it uptown with us? We have the best hospitals for astral pets there and it can be cured. Problems should be solved timely to avoid things to go wrong in the future. It will be quite convenient." Fan Shangda snorted. "I already said my piece, I'm not going anywhere." The young man's expressions changed. He said nothing else. "Grandpa, you don't want to go, but you have to consider it for Xiaohua's sake. It won't last long if it continues to go on a hunger strike like this. You cannot simply wait for it to starve to death and do nothing about it." The girl tried to persuade him from another perspective, using a different way to solve the problem. Hearing this, Fan Shangda raised his eyebrows. Somehow, he felt smug. "It won't starve. I already took it to get quality food today. It's just unwilling to eat this average pet food you brought here." "That doesn't mean that it won't eat anything else," said Fan Shangda. The young man was speechless. The food he brought was considered average? Every item was considered precious pet food. "You bought food for it?" The girl sounded surprised. "Will it eat other pet food?" There was an odd look on her face. "Of course." Fan Shangda laughed. "I'm not convinced." Fan Xiaoyu was still in disbelief. She believed that her grandpa was just making up excuses. After all, in all those years, her grandpa had come up with many strange excuses just to avoid living with them in the uptown area. Fan Yujing, the young man, was just as baffled after that exchange. Fan Shangda puckered his eyebrows. He reached into his pocket and grabbed the little bottle. He pulled out the cap and poured out one fruit. "Come here," Fan Shangda called the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird had turned over the moment Fan Shangda opened the bottle. The fruit was thrown to the vermilion bird. The vermilion bird caught it with its mouth and swallowed it at once. This scene shocked the siblings. Soon, Fan Xiaoyu came back to her senses. She would not believe what had happened. "It must be because the food we brought was placed on the ground and Xiao who doesn't find any of it interesting. I've used the wrong way to feed it." With that said, she took out some fruits from the case and said, "Xiaohua, here." The vermilion bird turned over. A big pile of fruit was forced onto its beak. Fan Xiaoyu was in a cold sweat as she saw the vermilion bird about to fly into a fit of rage. Her hair was standing on end, she didn't dare to try again. "Now you believe me," Fan Shangda said, laughing with satisfaction. Fan Xiaoyu looked at him speechlessly. She knew that her plan of using Xiaohua as a leverage to persuade him had fallen through. "Grandpa, what kind of food is this? I've never seen it before. Where did you get it?" Fan Yujing checked the fruit carefully. He was confused. He had the confidence to say that he had been out for many battles, so he was well informed. Yet, he had never seen this bird food before. Fan Shangda answered casually, "I bought it in a pet store nearby. It's called something like scarlet stone fruit." "Scarlet stone fruit?" Fan Xiaoyu pondered about the name. The name didn't ring any bells, even though she was a well-versed straight-A student. I have never heard about this fruit before. Is it real food? I'm afraid that it may produce side effects, she said, wondering. Fan Yujing nodded. She's right. Some unethical pet stores will pass some weed off as pet food. There are strict regulations in the uptown area regarding this, unlike here. Grandpa, don't put Xiao Hua in harm's way just because you bought something unknown. What? Fan Shangde felt nervous once they put it this way. The vermilion bird was his baby, it was of great significance to him. He could not imagine what would happen if something were to happen to it. I don't think that is the case. I bought it in a formal store. They have a business license. Fan Shangde tried to keep a calm appearance while inside he was fearful and trembling. Fan Xiuyu thought about it. I heard that some gangster shops will mix some special chemicals in the pet food so that the food they sell tastes better and the pet would crave for more. Pets would lose their minds once they can't get such food, but they may suddenly die if they eat such food for a long time, or suffer from other ailments. Fan Shangde was dumbstruck. He had seen such reports on the news. He became anxious. Right. The pet food I brought is the favorite for birds of the fire family, but Xiaohua won't even look at it. It's only interested in the fruit you have, Grandpa. This is too strange. That simple smile vanished from Fan Yujing's face as his sister explained. Taking that simplicity's place was something malicious and severe. Well, Grandpa, how much did it cost you? Fan Xiuyu asked all of a sudden. Fan Shangde was surprised by this question. Out of instinct, he answered, 1,500 coins. One bottle costs 1,500 coins. Fan Xiuyu was shocked. A layer of ice came onto her pretty face. This is not uptown. There cannot be pet food this expensive. That has to be a gangster shop. Grandpa, where is the store, and what is its name? Fan Yujing asked directly. The Pixie Pet Store. Chapter 18, Breeding Beast Kings. Inside the Pixie Pet Store. After the old man left, Su Ping could not wait to head to the Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation behind the pet store, since he had just made some energy points. I wonder what kind of astral pet can be bred. Su Ping was filled with anticipation and nervousness. The rarer the astral pet coming into being was, the higher the rent would be when he leased it. This could be a source of substantial income. The system reminded him, Chaos Spirit Pool for incubation is currently at the first level. During every breeding process, 1 part per 100 million of Chaos Aura can be imported. Activate. Chaos Aura? What is that? Su Ping found it unfamiliar. Chaos Aura is the most fundamental energy in the universe, the origin of everything. The system's explanation sounded a bit fantasy-like. Su Ping didn't understand it fully. He frowned. But, isn't it too stingy to import only 1 part per 100 million of this source energy? The host can upgrade the spirit pool, the system suggested calmly. The requirement for upgrading the spirit pool sprang to Su Ping's mind at once, along with the effects of spirit pools at different levels. Currently, the Chaos Spirit Pool was at the first level. 100 energy points would be needed to upgrade it to the second level, and the Chaos Aura that could be imported would be increased to 1 part per 10 million. In the best of chances, the pool would give birth to astral pets with higher rank bloodlines. To upgrade the Chaos Spirit Pool to the third level would demand 10,000 energy points, which would increase the percentage of Chaos Aura imported to 1 part per million. There would be a small chance that an astral pet with a Beast King's bloodline could be bred. 100 million energy points would be needed to upgrade to the fourth level, and the imported Chaos Aura would reach 1 part per 100,000. There would be a bigger chance of breeding an astral pet with a Beast King's bloodline and a very low possibility that the astral pet could be even more powerful. Following the fourth level, there was the fifth, sixth, etc., and the highest was the ninth level. In a ninth level Chaos Spirit Pool, a large amount of Chaos Aura could be imported. The ancestors of the mythical beasts, the Archean deities, could come into being. Su Ping was completely astonished once he reached the latter part of the introduction. Beast ancestors? Archean deities? Judging by the names alone, Su Ping could tell that such beings were horrifying. Those creatures had to be more terrifying than those legendary astral pets in that illustrated book of feral astral pets. Any one of such beings could endanger the whole world. Could such beings also be regarded as astral pets? Su Ping felt lightheaded the moment he saw the energy points required for an upgrade to the 9th level. He knew that this was way out of his league at the moment. To upgrade to the 3rd level was already in the distant future. Besides, the effects of a 3rd level Chaos Spirit pool were already shocking. With merely 1 part per million of Chaos Aura, there was a chance of breeding an Astral Pet with a Beast King bloodline. What was a Beast King bloodline? That was to say that such an Astral Pet would already have the strength of a Beast King. No matter how poor the Astral Pet's aptitude was, or how poor its level of understanding was, as soon as the Astral Pet reached adulthood, it would have the strength equivalent to a Beast King. The only difference was the ranking among Beast Kings. This did not refer to the Astral Pets that had a percentage of Beast King bloodline fused in them. Such Astral Pets were, for the most part, of mixed blood, and the Beast King's bloodline would only account for a small ratio. It was almost impossible for such Astral Pets to evolve into Beast Kings. Breeding Beast Kings? While he stared at this chaotic spirit pool that looked like a dried-up well, his mouth felt parched and his tongue scorched. Beast Kings were creatures that could run wild across the entire land, and they were extremely hard to tame. All Beast Kings were violent and cruel. If he could breed one, then he could have a skyrocketing rise. Su Ping had finally calmed himself after a long time of excitement. At the moment, he could only use the 1st level of the Chaos Spirit Pool. Lucky for him, even at the 1st level, the Chaos Spirit Pool would have a tremendous effect. There was a small chance that an Astral Pet of the intermediate level could be brought to life. One Astral Pet of the intermediate level would be sold at 100,000 coins or more at the federal establishments. Activate the Spirit Pool. Su Ping looked at his 15.6 energy points. He made up his mind and invested the points. -10 energy points. The dry Chaos Spirit Pool began to absorb the energy. As such, a glow suddenly broke out. There was a trace of dark light that glimmered for an instant but then disappeared without a trace. Everything quieted down again. Crack! Something seemed to have fallen apart. Su Ping looked over in surprise. From the edge of the Chaos Spirit Pool crawled out a little skeleton that was off-white in color and about 20 centimeters in height. It was lower than a human's knee. The skeleton used great efforts to crawl out from the spirit pool. Then, it fell on the ground and shattered into pieces. A skeleton of the demon family? Su Ping was stunned speechless. Pets of the demon family were highly popular for battle pets. They were loved by battle pet warriors because of their fierce abilities. But this little skeleton was a pet of the lowest level in the demon family. Su Ping was wishing that he could hit the jackpot and get a pet of the intermediate level on his first try. As it turned out, instead of the intermediate level, this skeleton was the lowest of the lowest level. While he felt like weeping but had no tears, Su Ping wanted to take the chance. He cast an identification spell on the skeleton. Little skeleton. Property, pet of the demon family. Rank, the lower position of the 1st rank. Combat strength, 1.1. Aptitude, poor. Abilities mastered, severed limb reassembly. This panel revealed information that couldn't be more average. Su Ping felt an urge to cry. Ding! The host has finished the breeding quest. The host will receive a random book about battle pet warrior skills, the system reminded him. Su Ping came back to his senses. That was when he remembered the reward of the quest. His depressed mood turned for the better. At the very least, he could just think of the little skeleton as a tool for accomplishing quests. Where is the skill book? In the host storage space. Su Ping entered his storage space to check at once. Not surprisingly, he found a skill book with a light blue color. Killing Intent, Skill for Elementary Battle Pet Warriors. Su Ping found this surprising. It was Killing Intent. As he recalled, this seemed to be a rare battle pet warrior skill. Generally speaking, among the skills that a battle pet warrior could master, first and foremost, there were 4 skills of augmentation effects: Strength Augmentation, Blast Augmentation, Firmness Augmentation, and Perception Augmentation. The 4 skills of augmentation effects were essentials for all battle pet warriors. To learn the 4 skills alone would take a long time. Apart from the 4, the other battle pet warrior skills could have other special effects. Take the skill book of this Killing Intent for example. This skill meant that through the power of the contract, The pet's desire for homicide would be externalized. The pet would sink into a crazed state and become fearless. The pet would attack violently, without any fear, even when the pet had suffered serious injuries. It could be said that this was quite an aggressive battle pet warrior skill. When dealing with some threatening pets, this skill could produce miracles. This appears to be a quite difficult battle pet warrior skill. Battle pet warriors below the 4th rank may not be able to learn it. Su Ping found this surprisingly pleasant. While the breeding failed to some extent, the reward he drew was good. But he wasn't a battle pet warrior at the moment, so he couldn't use it yet. Crack, crack. At the moment, the little skeleton that fell by the chaotic spirit pool crawled up again and was stumbling its way to Su Ping. It looked at Su Ping with its empty, dull eyes. Su Ping forced a smile and picked up the little skeleton. He went to the counter and asked the system, "What is the lending rate for this little skeleton?" "Pet, little skeleton, rent, 1 coin per hour." 1 coin. Su Ping's mouth twitched. This was the rental price. But if anyone would be willing to rent the little skeleton was yet to be seen. After all, who would rent a little skeleton at the lower position of the 1st rank to go into battle? Su Ping's forced smile had yet to fade away when he heard some footsteps. In the next second, the door was smashed open by 2 people who dashed in. Su Ping was stunned. He placed the little skeleton on the chair by the side and asked the male and female that had come in with overweening arrogance. "And you are? You unscrupulous merchant, come clean and tell us, what did you add in the pet food you sold?" the young man said, glaring at Su Ping coldly. The ones that came were none other than Fan Yujing and his younger sister Fan Xiaoyu. They hurried over right after they got the address from their grandfather. Su Ping frowned after a moment of astonishment. "I don't understand what you're saying. Besides, are you my customers? Do I even know you?" He went through the memories of the previous owner of the body but failed to recognize the two. "I am saying this for your good. Don't be stubborn and reluctant to admit mistakes or defeats. Or else, you will land yourself in serious trouble." Fan Yujing looked askance at Su Ping, continuing in a cold voice, "The food you just sold to an old man, some scarlet stone fruit. What did you mix in them with?" "Right." Fan Xiaoyu rested her hands on her hips and chimed in arrogantly. At the mention of the scarlet stone fruit, Su Ping remembered which customer it was. He understood what was going on at once, judging by the manners of those two. "Are you suspecting that I tampered with the pet food?" Su Ping pulled a long face. He harvested that food at the risk of his life. How could anyone question him? All of a sudden, the system sound alert sprang in his mind. The system that could always remain composed sounded quite cold, and even furious at the moment. Ad hoc quest. The store is being slandered for no reason. The host must prove innocence personally and demonstrate that there is nothing wrong with the pet food. The host must protect the reputation of the store against any defaming. Reward if the quest is accomplished. A chance to enter any cultivation plane with an unlimited number of deaths for 5 days. Punishment for quest failure. A 10 points deduction from the host's grade. Su Ping stood in amazement. There were ad hoc quests? Besides, for this quest, the reward was a one-time access to any cultivation plane for 5 days with unlimited number of deaths? Previously, Su Ping did not cherish that opportunity presented to him and regretted it later. Surprisingly, there was another chance given to him again. This was a chance to train a low-rank pet to a pet of the highest grade easily. Chapter 19. Break Your Arm. Just as Su Ping was reading the quest, Fan Xiu smashed the table and her face was contorted with anger. "If there's nothing wrong with the food you sold, how come a pet with no appetite cannot stop eating that food? You'd better come clean." "Come clean." Su Ping came back to his senses. His eyebrows twitched when he looked at the hand on the counter. A glint of coldness flashed past his dark eyes, but he contained his fury. The two people were battle pet warriors and he was no match for them. The host doesn't have to worry. There is nothing inside this store that can threaten your life. Anything and anyone that shows killing intent towards you will be erased, even when the immemorial savior arrives. Su Ping was stunned speechless. He didn't know that the pet store had such abilities. Didn't it mean that this store was his strongest shelter? With the system's promise, Su Ping felt less worried. Looking at the two indifferently, he said, Do you have proof that there is inappropriate stuff mixed in my pet food? Proof? Fan Yujing's glare turned colder as he went on, my words are the proof. Believe me. I will have the Pet Food Association come here to investigate at once and your dirty little store will be shut down. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. He wasn't afraid of the Pet Food Association. After all the food was natural and harvested by him, there was nothing wrong with it. That being said, the investigation procedures of the Pet Food Association would be complicated and it would affect his business. Besides, that would also harm the store's reputation. That would put him at a disadvantage when it came to finishing the system's assignments. At the same time, Fan Xiaoyu noticed the many pet food bottles placed on the shelf behind the counter. When she saw the prices, she cried out in alarm, "Brother, look, this is a clip joint indeed." Su Yujing took a glance. He pulled a long face at once. I didn't know gangster shops were this bold in the outer town. This is a place where there are no rules nor laws. Su Ping snorted. A high price invariably means that this is a clip joint? Don't buy or come here and defame people just because you cannot afford it. The things I sell are attractive in price and quality. You get what you pay for. The price is more than reasonable. I can't afford it. Fan Xiaoyu laughed out of extreme anger. Even if the price were set 10 times the amount, it would be nothing but a casual buy for them. How could he accuse them of not being able to afford anything? Besides, the pet food he had was 10 times more expensive than regular pet food. Who gave the owner the courage to call it attractive in price and quality? You get what you pay for. Nice try. I'd like to know what that thing priced at 20,000 coins can do. Can it make someone live forever? Fan Xiaoyu burst into laughter out of fury. Su Ping answered calmly, only 20,000 coins and you want to eat it and live forever. You're not looking for crap to eat, are you? You. Fan Xiaoyu opened her beautiful eyes and bellowed, say that again. Am I wrong? Su Ping shrugged. How dare you insult my sister? Fan Yujing's eyes glared in coldness. He made a swift move and reached his hand to grab Su Ping's neck at lightning speed. However, right at that moment, a sense of fatal danger rose in Fan Yujing's mind. Before Fan Yujing could think about it, he heard a cracking sound. It was as if his arm had been pushed down by something. The bones in his arm were fractured from the elbow down. The dull pain reached him in an instant. Fan Yujing gasped in pain. He stepped back at once to keep a distance from Su Ping. Brother! Everything happened too fast. Still angry, Fan Xiaoyu only saw how her brother was about to teach the other guy a lesson, to then see him suddenly step back as if something had struck him. Fan Xiaoyu turned pale with fright as she saw Fan Yujing with a broken arm. Her brother was not an average boy. He had graduated and joined the Rangers as a powerful battle pet warrior. He was far superior than her. How could his arm be broken? Su Ping was surprised by this as well. Inside, he heaved a sigh of relief. The system was freaking awesome and this was a system of words. If it weren't for the fact that you didn't mean to end my life, it wouldn't be just your arm that would be broken. Su Ping sneered. He was a guy that had died over 100 deaths in cultivation plains. He had an acute sense of killing intent. Previously, Fan Yujing only intended to teach Su Ping a lesson and did not mean to murder him. Therefore, the system's punishment was not the most severe. Was it you who did this? Fan Xiaoyu turned around and stared at Su Ping, shocked. Who was this person that could easily break her brother's arm? Also, judging by his looks, she could tell that Su Ping was in his early 20s, younger than her brother. Wasn't it an indication that Su Ping was more talented than her brother? Fan Yujing was a person that had undertaken countless battles himself. While the pain from the broken arm was sharp, he managed to endure it. He was even more shocked than Fan Xiaoyu. Previously, in that instant, the sense of danger was still lingering in his heart like a needle and it was hard to be erased. He didn't doubt that he had just visited the gates of hell. Who exactly are you? Fan Yujing took a deep breath, putting on a stern look. This person that could break his arm and was younger than him had to be a genius, not a halfpenny the worse than those glamorous talents in the Federation. This person was far from an unknown anonymous guy. As you can see, just a normal guy, a pet store owner, Su Ping said, calmly. Now, I believe we can communicate like equals. Fan Yujing's countenance changed. He kept a low voice. We didn't mean to offend you. It's just that this matter is related to our family. We were too anxious. It's funny. Su Ping chuckled. At the same time, inside, he was sighing. Right, only the powerful could have a say. Otherwise, people wouldn't even have the patience to listen to the explanation. The fist ruled even when the words were wrong. Didn't you ask me what the function of this is? Su Ping revisited that subject, saying in a nonchalant tone, these are colored Buddha leaves and can be regarded as a form of pet food. But this is disposable food. The only effect is that it can enlighten a pet's intelligence and increase the pet's power of understanding. Enlighten intelligence? Fan Yujing's expression changed once he heard this. All the items that could enlighten intelligence were sold at 100,000, at the very least. Why would this one only cost 20,000? Fan Xiuyu, who was supporting her brother, was also stunned. She didn't expect that this garish thing would be a treasure that could enhance intelligence. Which pet ranks can be enlightened by these colored Buddha leaves? Fan Yujing voiced another question. Right at this moment, he was no longer regarding this owner as a shady businessman. What kind of trickster was able to break his arm without leaving a trace? Su Ping shrugged. It can be applied to all pets below the Beast King rank. Well, the siblings stared dumbfounded. All pets were inferior to Beast Kings. Didn't it imply that even pets of the 9th rank could use this? What treasure could enlighten the intelligence of a pet at the 9th rank? Such a treasure could not be purchased with 1 million, not to mention 100,000 coins. For a moment, the siblings were looking at Su Ping in a weird way. If this man were a fraud, he was unusually powerful. Such people were seldom con artists since they wouldn't have the need for it. But if he weren't a fraud, then why be so stupid as to sell such a top-level treasure at only 20,000 coins? Su Ping's mouth twitched as he noticed the funny glares the siblings threw at him. His heart was aching. Of course he knew that the price of 20,000 coins was low. Only the wealthy and ostentatious could regard this kind of price as reasonable. Chapter 20, Evolution. I told you. The items in this store are attractive both in price and quality. It is completely fair. Su Ping kept a poker face. The siblings could not utter a word. If Su Ping were telling the truth, then this was far from just being attractive in price and quality. He was practically selling at a sacrifice. The siblings looked at each other. They were shocked at the strength Su Ping demonstrated in that strike, but this matter still seemed surreal. Su Ping could tell that this pair was not convinced. He frowned. All of a sudden, he thought of an idea. If you don't believe me, I have something here that can prove it to you, he calmly said. What is it? Fan Xiuyu was confused. Su Ping took out a transparent glass bottle from behind the counter and 2 blue fruits were found in the bottle. Su Ping explained, these are blue element fruits, with a low rank rating. This is a kind of food that is favored by advanced pets of the water family. With long-term administration, advanced pets of the family can have their abilities enhanced. If the low-rank pets of the water family can consume such a fruit, they will be directly promoted to the next rank. Promoted to the next rank directly? The siblings were startled. Things that could enable a direct rank promotion were extremely expensive, even those that were only for low-rank pets. The blue element fruit can only be consumed by pets of the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd rank and only the first-time administration can show effects. The price is 8,700. Su Ping added indifferently, if you guys can find some low-rank pets of the water family, you will see the truth with one test. Only 8,700. Once again, the siblings were speechless due to the appallingly low price. And yet, compared with the colored Buddha leaves, they found it understandable. Well, as for low-rank pets of the water family, I don't have to get one elsewhere. I have one with me. Fan Xiuyu blinked. Sir, can we test it now? She questioned. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. Of course. Good. Astral powers began to surge over Fan Xiuyu. She lifted a hand and grabbed at something in the air. A vortex appeared, from which a light blue figure hopped out and landed on her shoulder. This was a blue-dotted pet the size of a fist, shaped like a water polo ball. Only its big head could be seen. Its 4 limbs were so short that they were hardly visible. Fountain Beast. As soon as Su Ping saw this little guy, he recognized it as a first-rank pet of the water family. This pet was extremely common and ordinary, so ordinary that almost every family had one. While those pets were merely at the first rank and their abilities could be practically ignored, they were loved by everyone. The reason was that fountain beasts could shoot water jets that were of no offensive value. To a large extent, they could help people save on household water. Many adventurers could also ask the fountain beasts for help when they were exploring and wanted to wash their hands, drink some water, or take a bath. Owning a fountain beast was like carrying a small water source. "Sir, will this work?" Fan Xiaoyu held the fountain beast in both hands and placed it in front of Su Ping. Su Ping answered, "Sure. But you have to pay for the blue element fruit first." "Well..." Fan Xiaoyu was hesitating. Fan Yujing stepped forward and took out a card. He transferred the money to Su Ping. "Sir, please commence." Su Ping heard the beautiful prompt tone of money entering his account. A faint smile climbed to his otherwise frigid face. He opened the bottle and took out a blue element fruit from it. In his store, this was the pet food only inferior to the colored Buddha leaf in terms of price. "Little guy, here you go." Su Ping handed the fruit to the fountain beast. The fountain beast had already smelled the blue element fruit. When Su Ping handed over the fruit, the fountain beast could not wait to open its mouth and gobble it down before asking its master for permission. The fruit with the size of a thumb was stuffed into its mouth. It was as if there were a drum filling the fountain beast's mouth, but soon the fruit was gone, the pet had swallowed it. 3 people had their eyes glued on the fountain beast, waiting for the effect to kick in. Su Ping had thought that the fountain beast would need some time to digest it. However, in less than 3 minutes, something began to happen to the fountain beast. The light blue spots on the fountain beast began to flow, like liquid. Then, the fountain beast's entire body swelled a bit. This swelling was painful for the fountain beast, so it began to roll around on the counter. While it rolled, the fountain beast would eject some water arrows. Su Ping used his hand to fend off the arrows. He noticed that it was somewhat painful when the water arrows struck his palm. Whoosh! All of a sudden, a much thicker water arrow was discharged. Su Ping had no time to defend against it, but in the next second, that water arrow was stopped by some invisible shield. On the other side, Fan Xiaoyu noticed something as she realized the fact that the water arrows ejected by the fountain beast were aggressive. She held up an astral shield to protect her brother and herself. The water arrows provoked ripples as they smashed against the astral shield. Her astral shield was of a high level and could fend off the water arrows easily. A moment later, the fountain beast stopped rolling around. Right then, it was 2 times as large as before. The 4 limbs that could not be seen earlier were still not visible. The limbs were short, but they were enough to support the fountain beast. "It has evolved." Fan Xiaoyu opened her eyes wide. Since fountain beasts were highly popular, even a 7 or 8-year-old kid could tell exactly what fountain beasts looked like from the first rank to the 3rd rank. Naturally, Fan Xiaoyu would know. A flash of surprise appeared in Fan Yujing's eyes. This blue element fruit was an item that could facilitate evolution. While the fruit was only effective for low-rank pets, it was rare. Done. Su Ping breathed a sigh of relief inside as he saw the result. "Do you have any other questions?" Su Ping asked. The siblings came back to their senses. They looked at each other and their expressions were troubled. "Sorry. We offended you in the beginning," Fan Yujing said, resisting the pain of his broken arm, slightly gnashing his teeth. Fan Xiaoyu's expressions changed again and again, but eventually, she gave tacit consent to the status quo. They knew that a person that could sell such items for evolution and probably an item for intelligence enlightenment could never be a bad businessman. As such, the fruits this person sold to their grandpa could not be the usual kind, either. That was why the vermilion bird loved them. "No problem." Su Ping nodded. He accepted their apology. For the time being, it was the other party that had taken a beating. However, without the system's protection, he would have been the one suffering humiliation. After all, given the other party's domineering attitude, they would never listen to him. Awkwardness ensued with a short moment of silence. Fan Xiaoyu hesitated for a bit as she saw the colored Buddha leaf. "Sir, will that work?" she asked. Su Ping raised his eyebrows. Was she still doubting him? "I already made the introduction. I won't repeat myself," he said, gloomily. Fan Xiaoyu saw that Su Ping had misunderstood her, so she wanted to explain at once. Before she could, Fan Yujing suddenly did something. He transferred the money to Su Ping and said, "We will take it." No amount of explanation could work better than an actual purchase. Fan Yujing felt it worthwhile to test it by spending 20,000. If this article was genuine, then it would be money more than well spent. If it was fake, 20,000 was nothing for him. He could make tens or hundreds of times more with any trip made for opening up virgin soil. Fan Xiaoyu was surprised by her brother's action, but she soon understood his intention. She said nothing more. Still, she felt a bit reluctant inside.